All right, today we're going to take a look at Lunatico's CloudWatcher weather station, specifically designed to protect your observatory from the elements. I'm going to be using it to automatically close my shutter in case of an unsafe condition, but this system can also be used if you have a roll-off roof type observatory. So let's start with taking a closer look at the hardware. My name is Rich and you're watching Deep Space Astro. So Lunatico has sent me all this equipment on loan with the option to buy it with a discount if I decide to keep it, which, as you could probably assume, since I have everything mounted and wired into the observatory, that's what I'm going to be doing here. So first, let's talk about what they sent me. This white box right here is the actual CloudWatcher unit. This will measure the sky temperature to detect whether or not there are clouds. It also has a sky quality meter in it, so it'll measure in magnitudes per arc second the darkness of your sky, as well as it's a rain sensor. The additional accessories that they sent me was the anemometer, which measures our wind speed. And if we take a look down below here, you can see that black puck right here. That is my humidity sensor, as well as the bracket to mount it to the pole. If I take you inside the observatory, I was also sent the Solo box, which connects into the CloudWatcher and gives us a nice web interface to keep an eye on all the weather conditions, all the information that the sensors send to us. And I'll show you guys the software in a minute here. The way that this connects, there is no direct connection to the computer, so I have a serial port right here that runs down into this coiled up white cable, so forgive my cable management, I may be moving this thing further away from the observatory outside. But that white cable runs outside to the CloudWatcher, and then this wire right here provides power through that same cable, and then these two wires here with the connector actually run up into the controller for the rotation of the unit. And those two wires are simply just a relay that connects to the terminal boards on the controller that I got from Nextdome. Which, by the way, the controller in here, as well as the one that I have up in the shutter here, both of those controllers are a Lunatico product as well, so they work perfectly together. But my understanding is anything that can take a relay connector like these two wires that I was talking about can be used as well. So this should work with just about any controller that you may own. So let's go back outside and I'll show you how the other end of this white cable connects into the actual CloudWatcher unit. So again, forgive my mess of cables here. I'm going to be putting everything in a couple pieces of conduit. Here's our white cable coming up, goes into the back of the CloudWatcher. This black cable is actually for wind speed, which connects up here. And that's it for connecting. It's real simple. Everything went together relatively easy. Weatherproof connectors on the CloudWatcher itself. You do want to make sure you keep this clean, check it once in a while, make sure your sensors don't have any dirt on them or anything like that. The middle part here, the textured part, is actually your rain sensor. So before we take a look at the software, let's test this unit. It does not require anything additional for this to close the shutter on the observatory. So it's strictly just the CloudWatcher system connected into the controller for the rotation of the observatory. So let's run a quick test and see how that works. All right, so we'll just test this with just a few drops of water and see how it responds. And there we go. Just a few drops of water, nothing. I didn't pour the water on top of it. It doesn't take much for it to trigger. So you can see the observatory is closing now, just as expected, and that's pretty cool. Now, this is actually a backup system to a system I already have. So let me show you guys that real quick. So when I purchased the observatory, I also purchased this rain sensor that Nextdome was offering. And it works similar to how the CloudWatcher does, but the technology is different. The CloudWatcher itself is actually a capacitive sensor for the water, where this one actually is shooting I believe it's infrared LEDs up into the glass. You can see kind of the honeycomb shape that's on the inside of here. So when water hits this, that light diffracts and it senses that that light is diffracting. It worked well. It was just as sensitive as the CloudWatcher was, but it's susceptible to condensation. So one night when I was imaging, I got some condensation on this and the shutter closed while I was sleeping. So, you know, that wasn't good. What I found out, Nextdome doesn't make this. It's another company that provides this piece to them to sell. But if you take this lens off, there are some dip switches in there for sensitivity settings. So I had to crank down the sensitivity so it wouldn't be affected by condensation. But it does take a little bit more water now for it to trigger the shutter to close, which I wasn't happy about, but you know, you got to take the good with the bad, I suppose. So this is also connected into the controller for the rotation, just as the CloudWatcher is, like I showed you earlier, but it connects to a different point on the controller, so I can leave them both installed. So what happens is if this guy, for whatever reason, would ever to fail on me and rain actually did hit, then this one hopefully will still be alive and will be my safety net. So I've got two devices that will close when it detects water, that one being my sensitive one, unsusceptible to condensation, and then this one being my backup just in case something bad was to happen. So let's get back into my office and we'll go over the software and configuration of it. All right, so with all of the equipment installed now, we'll jump over into the web interface of the Solo unit. So open up your favorite web browser, and AAG Solo is what you're looking for. And this is coming right out of the Solo device that I was showing you that's installed on the inside of the observatory. Up on top is all of our status for all the sensors that we have. So we have temperature, we have our atmospheric pressure, humidity, dew point, our cloud measurement, it's detecting that it's clear right now, wind speed, whether or not it's raining, and the brightness of the sky. Per the settings, you can see with these dots up on top, the green ones indicate that it's safe, and we'll go over the settings here in a second. So the first 5 are green, so those conditions are safe for imaging, but the last one, measuring the sky brightness, obviously it's during the day, so that's red, meaning it's unsafe to image. So my switch is closed, which would not allow me to open the shutter, or if the shutter was open and it hit this unsafe condition, it would close it automatically. And like I said, we'll go over those settings here in a minute and how you can adjust them to your environment or for your use case for the device. Buttons over on the side here. This first one is just an automatic refresh for the panel up on top. You can also manually refresh it by clicking that button there, and there's a little status window here. It shows you when it read the last configuration data. And then below that, we have all of our graphs, right? So for each one of these items that we see up on top in the panel, we also have a graph that keeps track of the time, so you can get a history report of all of these sensors. Similar to the panel, we have an auto refresh button here that runs automatically. You can click that and turn it off. Our manual refresh just for the graphs. This next button here is labeled to show yesterday's data. So the bright graph that you see here is current for today. The fainter one you see in the background is actually the data recorded yesterday. So if I didn't want to see that, I can tick that button and turn off yesterday's data. We'll turn that back on for now. The next one below that is the show limits. So again, if you look on all of these graphs, on most of them, temperature and dew point doesn't display it, but you can see there's these faint colored bars behind your graph lines. So these colors are just representing the limits that you have set in the settings. Again, we'll go over that here in a minute. So you can turn that on and off if you prefer not to see them. The next button down here is the switch limit. So our little dash line going across here, this is the point in which this switch will close when the specified limit is reached. Again, it's just a way of turning on and off that indication if you didn't want to see it. Next two buttons, we're in Celsius now, but there's also Fahrenheit and miles per hour, so you can tick that on if that's your preference. And then the heartbeat one down here is just a debug data. If I was to click that, we'll get some debug data straight out of the Solo unit. So that's your main interface. This will also load up on your smartphone for you. As you could probably tell by the format that it's in, it loads nicely on the smartphones. There are no apps to install on Android or the iOS, so everything is web-based, and that's all you need. There's really no need for an app for this, since they've gone ahead and formatted the web interface to fit all devices. So let's take a look at the settings now. So I am just going to open up another tab here, and same thing, AAG Solo, but this time we're going to do a /config. And up on top here, if we click on a little configuration button with the wrench, you can see all the settings. These are the switch limits and such that I was showing you in the main screen. The first one is just informational type stuff. So the title of it, I've renamed mine to DSA Observatory. Specify your time zone, your altitude, your latitude, and your longitude. These are your status limits. So if we take a look for the cloud sensor, we have 3 parameters that we can specify. When the device determines that it's clear, when it's cloudy, or when it's overcast. So if it's less than minus 15 degrees Celsius, then it's clear. If it's less than minus 5 degrees Celsius, then it's cloudy. If it's less than 30 degrees Celsius, then it's overcast. So these 3 parameters for the cloud sensor, if we jump back over to our main screen, up here where it says clear, this is what it's configuring right here. And you can see it currently says minus 24.26 degrees Celsius, which is less than the minus 15 that we have specified. So it's indicating that it's clear. But you know, these are the kind of settings that you may have to play with for, again, for your environment. Lunatico states that, you know, it's a good starting point. They work well for a lot of people, but you know, the settings are here so you can tweak them again for your environment or to your liking. But the same thing works with all these. So we got the wind sensor next. You can specify whether it's calm, windy, or very windy, relative humidity, your rain sensor, your light sensor, so on and so forth. The next section here is the switch and the limits. These are the settings. Keep in mind, so the status limits are just controlling what's being displayed up here as well as in your graphs. It's not controlling when your switch is going to be opened or closed. And that switch being opened or closed is the relay in the device that will protect your observatory. That's what's going to close my shutter if it detects an unsafe condition, or close the roof on the roll-off roof observatory if it meets the conditions that I've set. So use the switch. You can turn that off and on if you're not planning on using the switch. If the device cannot determine if it's safe or unsafe, then it'll default close that switch, which will close your roof or your shutter, and then delay after unsafe, which just means when you detect an unsafe condition, wait 10 seconds before reevaluating all these settings again. So clouds greater than minus 15 degrees Celsius, wind greater than 24.9 kilometers per hour. You get the gist of it. The rain is just, there's no unit of measure. This is just a number, cycles per se, as it detects any moisture. And I should also mention too, these status limits, I have adjusted these for my environment. So these numbers are not necessarily going to be what you see when you access this web portal. But again, back to the switch limits. For me, because my observatory is in my backyard, I am not worried about anything besides rain. Now, it would be nice if there was a way to come in here and just toggle on and off each of these sensors, the ones that I don't want to use. So I would like to see a button that I could click and say off for clouds, off for wind, off for humidity. I'm just worried about rain. Because there's no switch like that, not a big deal, but you just have to set like extreme values here that would possibly never fall into a unsafe condition. So for clouds, currently, if I set that to 10 degrees Celsius and put my wind up to 80.5, I do want to detect rain. So I'm going to leave that at 3100, humidity level over 110%, light 0, and then my atmospheric pressure I'll set to 500. Once I make those changes, hit the green checkbox up here, and when the screen comes back, we should be able to jump back over into our main screen. You may have to give it a refresh a couple of times and wait for it to reevaluate all the data coming from the sensors, but then eventually this should all go green up here and tell me that my status is safe, and I can open the shutter on my observatory, or again, the roof on a roll-off roof observatory. So with my current configuration, none of these sensors will be protecting my observatory except for the rain sensor, which currently is indicating that it's dry outside, and it is in fact dry outside. It's a nice sunny day until tonight when the clouds roll in, right? So the other thing that I wanted to talk about too is the light sensor, right? You can see there's a number up here. Currently it's showing 9.71. If we come back over into our configuration and look for our light sensor, just like I was showing you with the other sensors, you have 3 parameters that you can set. The number when it's dark, when it detects that it's dark, the number when it detects that it's light, and the number that it detects when it's extremely bright outside. It also will give you a sky quality measurement. That's the number that we were looking at on the main screen. Now, I compared this to my Unihedron SQM meter that is calibrated at the factory, and I trust its reading. And when I compared the SQM meter to the CloudWatcher was reading at, and this was at night on a moonless night. The moon was like 2 hours below the horizon. There were no clouds, just my standard light pollution in my Bortle 5 skies. And the CloudWatcher actually gave me a reading of 17.58, where my Unihedron meter gave me a reading of 19.62. So quite a bit of a difference between the two readings. So what I did was, there's a darkness reference value, and you can play with this one way or the other to try to get a more accurate reading from the sky quality sensor that's built into the CloudWatcher. And for me, to get the 2 units to match close was 21.1. Now, I spoke to Lunatico about this, and they indicated that 20.1 seems to work for a lot of people that were experiencing the same type of reading differences that I was, but 21.1 for me worked best. But just want to make you guys aware of that. So again, we made a change, so we're going to hit the green check button up there to save everything. A couple other buttons, right? This is obviously just your cancel button to cancel any changes that you made. You do have a Celsius to Fahrenheit button, so you can convert all these these settings to Celsius and mile per hour where needed. And then there's also settings down here to control the heater, because there is a heater to keep the ice from building up on top of the CloudWatcher. But I haven't had to mess with that. I've had this for a few months. I had it during the wintertime, so it was experiencing some snow and ice, and it did a great job from keeping the snow and the ice building up on the unit itself. So that's it for the configuration of the unit. If we hit our cancel button to go back to our main screen, and there's some settings in here I just wanted to go over. Straightforward stuff, right? Date and time, system name. So this is AAG Solo. That's how we're accessing both this configuration page as well as the main dashboard page. Some network configuration stuff. But what I wanted to point out is the MQTT publishing. What MQTT is just a very lightweight protocol that allows you to pull this data from the CloudWatcher and use it in whichever way you want. What I've done is I have Home Assistant installed. It's a home automation control software for all devices in my house, and it supports MQTT. So what I was able to do, let me slide this over and show you guys, is this center section right here is everything coming from the CloudWatcher unit using that MQTT protocol. So I was able to build my own little information panel up on top, right? And I included little animations. You can see it's a clear sky, so we got the galaxy spinning around. It's dry, so we got the desert with the sand. Hopefully there's no sand in the backyard, right? Probably could have picked a better animation for that, but I know what it means. And then the same thing with light. Got the sunrise coming up. So, and these animations change based on the conditions. You can see they're all tagged as safe right now. So it's pulling in those settings that I've configured to tell it when I want it to be safe or when I want things to be determined unsafe, as well as the readings. So there's my magnitudes per square arc second reading right now, 11.22. My wind speed's currently at 13 miles per hour. You know, the reading for the dry, the cloud temperature measurement to determine if there are clouds or not, humidity, dew point, you get the idea. Then I also have my own set of graphs here too. So, and what's nice about the graphs is, you know, right here live, I can drive back and forth to the previous day, previous couple days. So I have more of a history log for as long as this thing's been running, as well as like down here for the wind speed, my blue line is my wind speed. But anything with the red dots are the gusts that were occurring. So it's just a nice way to track it. Got a switch over here. Currently it's in the safe position because again, it's met all the requirements to determine that everything is okay. If I was to get rain, like I said, I've only got this configured to protect me against rain, then that switch would flip to unsafe, letting me know that it's unsafe to open the shutter. But again, you can use all these sensors to determine whether it's safe or unsafe to open your observatory. It's completely up to you. So that customization, that determination is left up to the end user. And the last thing that I wanted to show you is that it does snap into Nenina as well. So you can see I have my safety monitor selected over here. And currently I have the CloudWatcher safety monitor connected in through Nenina. So the first thing I want to say is you don't need Nenina or any other software for the CloudWatcher to protect your observatory. It is completely standalone. It doesn't require any of the stuff that I'm showing you right now. So you will be protected without it, but you can have Nenina protected as well. But the other thing that you can do, if we jump over to our sequencer and go into our advanced sequence, and over on the right hand side under our instructions tab, if we scroll down to our loop conditions, you can see we have a loop while safe and a loop while unsafe. So you can actually build this into your sequences. In addition to the loop condition, if we scroll down to our safety monitor, there's also a wait until safe too. So your sequence maybe doesn't start until all those conditions are met to indicate that it is safe. So a lot of versatility, not only with the hardware, but the software they provide. And so I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what it looks like in Nenina. So that's it. That's the Solo and CloudWatcher from Lunatico. If you have an observatory and you're interested in it, I'll leave a link to their website down in the description. They also have other devices too, specifically a pocket CloudWatcher, which operates similar to what I just showed you today, but it's intended for people who don't have an observatory. So you're going to set up at night, you can take this little box out there with you, configure it to send you alerts in case it detects any unsafe conditions. Go to bed, get an alert on your phone if it rains or clouds roll in, however you have it configured. So it's some really cool products. So like I said before, I'm going to be purchasing it with a discount that they offered me. That's a wrap for this review. Before we go, just want to say thanks to all my members here on YouTube and on Buy Me a Coffee. Appreciate everybody's support. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one, and clear skies.